boys? We are back. We're so back. We are back to look at some more anime top lists from our good old friend ScreenRant.com, who has given us here a beautiful new updated on November 21st, 2025 list of the 25 best anime to watch ranked. Now, obviously, before we get onto this list, I just need to say that it is objectively impossible to create any kind of list that everybody is going to be happy with. Hence the reason why a lot of people were sending me this list. And I don't exactly remember if I've covered any of Screen Rant's past lists. For the most part, at least from the ones that I do remember covering, they were usually ranging between decent to utterly shit. So let's hope that this list here from Screen Rant doesn't fall into the latter. Okay, ranking a medium as vast and diverse as anime is a daunting task, especially as the best anime to watch consistently have challenges every year, if not every season or two, but done right, the process can yield an impressive set of recommendations. I agree. Evaluating anime for its watchability should involve more than giving into the latest hype cycles. Facts. It involves putting aside franchise biases when their flaws are inescapably on display. Okay, so just that intro blurb is telling me that we're not going to get just like the One Pieces and the Narutos and the Bleachers and the My Heroes and the Attack on Titans. We're actually going to get some good like recommendations of shows that potentially people have not given a go. Because let's be real, with any kind of list like this, it's fucking pointless to put on shows like the ones I just mentioned because everybody already knows them. You don't need a list like this to there's no one's gonna come onto a list like this and being like, I've never heard of this One Piece show. I've never heard of this Attack on Titan. Maybe I should give it a go. Like, obviously, duh. They're gonna know what those shows are. That's not the point of these lists. So already, things are looking good. Many Shonen Jump anime are inundated with filler and padding, hurting the experience. Just say it how it is, bro. Goddamn. Look, we got Dragon Ball, Madoka, and Mob Psycho here, so I mean, those are great shows, don't get me wrong. Let's just hope that we can go even further than that. Alright, let's check it out. Number 25, Mobile Suit Gundam 0080 War in the Pocket. Oh, this is the movie, right? You know what? I have not actually seen this one, although I will say that when it comes to the Gundam franchise, I am, very not into it fully. I've seen like the original series, I've seen like Wing and 00 and stuff like that, but this is a film that I haven't actually checked out yet, and a lot of Gundam fans that I know of personally rank this extremely high. Good start already. This one actually has some backing up from me anecdotally, and I think most Gundam or Mecha fans can agree that this is a great recommendation. So there you go. Starting off with one that I haven't seen yet, but I've been wanting to give a go. Already a good start. Number 24, we got Trigun, the original Trigun, which is fantastic. I also highly recommend Trigun Stampede, which is the, I guess, reboot, spiritual successor to Trigun. That was also absolutely fucking incredible. My god, this show is so good. Such a classic. Still looks amazing to this day. As you can see, we got Madhouse boys back in the late 90s who were just on top of their shit. So yeah, both. Definitely both. Trigun and Trigun Stampede. And I think there's the new one coming out, right? Trigun Vanquish or whatever it is. I forgot what the new series of Trigun that is coming out, but I'm looking forward to that a lot. I enjoyed Stampede a lot. So yeah, there you go. Good choice already. All right, let's see if we can keep this going. Number 23, Wolf's Rain. Wolf's Rain mentioned in 2026. What the hell? Oh, wow. I was not expecting a Wolf's Rain mention, but I am very pleasantly surprised. Few anime are quite as much as of an emotional gut punch as Wolf's Rain. The anime takes place in a dystopian future on the verge of collapse. Wolf's Rain was ahead of its time. Facts. Wolf's Rain was so ahead of its time, as its plot had a large focus on the emotional fallout of living in a world doomed by climate change. Yeah, something that I believe is just called reality today. Also gorgeous with beautiful visuals and an absolutely haunting soundtrack from the legend herself, Yoko Kanno. Yeah, legit. Like, a lot of people forget how good of a soundtrack Wolf's Rain was, even in the catalog of Yoko Kanno's work. You know, a lot of people are very quick to talk about, you know, the Cowboy Bebops and your Zankyo no Teroru and stuff like that, which are all amazing soundtracks, don't get me wrong, but Yoko Kanno fucking killed it with Wolf's Rain. My god, it's so good. The fact that this show is over 20 years old now is shocking to me. I remember when I watched this back in the mid-2000s, and my mind was fucking blown with how beautiful this show was. So yes, definitely. Good job, Screen Rant, for giving Wolf's Rain a shout out. Number 22, Neon Genesis Evangelion. Okay, look. I'll give Screen Rant this one. We had to have at least one kind of quote-unquote mainstream show, I guess. I legitimately thought Neon Genesis Evangelion was going to be in like the top 5, but the fact that it's down at the 22s is surprising. Granted, again, I don't even think you could have honestly left this one out of the list, and I don't think anyone would have been mad, because again, much like the One Pieces and the Narutos and the Bleaches, who doesn't know what Neon Genesis Evangelion is at this point? Even if you've never seen Eva, you at least know the name, you know of its existence. So honestly, you could have just left it out on the list entirely and I wouldn't have been mad. Oh! Did I make this list? What the fuck? Serial Experiments Lain. This is the only time we will ever see a list where SEL is above NGE, and I am not upset with that at all. Because yes, too many people are sleeping on SEL. Too many. There is a reason why this is my favorite anime of all time. This is a show, I mean, if Wolf's Rain blew my mind when I watched it the first time, Serial Experiments Lain continues to blow my mind. Because, as the blurb here perfectly says, Serial Experiments Lain is a difficult series to describe. The quintessential turn-of-the-century cyberpunk anime is about a young girl whose life becomes increasingly strange after the death of a classmate named Chisa. And honestly, that's just like one tiny bit of the iceberg, because there is so much in this show, and I will continue to sing Lane's praises until the day I die. There is so much about this show that, even though this was made in 1998, was so ahead of its time because it perfectly portrayed and perfectly predicted what humanity was going to go through exactly today. In the sense of the internet, in the sense of people can't distinguish between what is real in reality versus what is on the internet, or as was described in Lain, The Wired. Like, yes, this is a confusing as shit show that is incredibly art housey, but if you can get past that slight bit of pretentiousness, however you want to describe it, it is an absolute mindfuck of a show, and I highly recommend you guys watch this, because even if, look, and I'm just going to say this up front, I've watched SEL probably from start to finish a good half dozen times. I still find new stuff about it. I'm still trying to like decipher what exactly the show is about. And hopefully when I get to that point, I'll be able to make a full, proper video on it that does it justice. But until then, this show is incredible. And also, Yoshitoshi Abe's art is just so sick. Like, it's so fucking sick. And I'll never get over how awesome this show is. So fuck me, man. Screen Rant, so far, you're striking 4 for 4. This is insane. All right, let's see if they keep this up. Number 20, Ping Pong the Animation. 5 for 5? Ping Pong the Animation is so good, dude. It's so good. And you know what's the best part about it as well? It's not even a sports anime. It's a human drama. It is a human drama anime wrapped up in a sports anime, and you don't even have to give a fuck about ping pong, because I sure didn't when I watched this, but holy shit. It's so good, and Tatsunoko Productions killed it with this shit. God damn. This was the show that made me fall in love with Masaaki Yuasa's style, and ever since I've watched everything that man has created, because he is one of the most unique, visually unique rather, and I guess experience unique anime directors out there in the field of what a lot of people will probably agree with me on as being a medium that has a lot of weird shit out there. He makes that weird shit look normal with his works. It's so crazy to think that he made this, in 2014? Jesus Christ. Give Ping Pong the Animation a go. Give most of Masaaki Yuasa's stuff a go if you're bored of modern anime. I know a lot of people are. Number 19, Gurren Lagann. Okay, again, this one is fine. You know, this is really telling of my era that as an anime enjoyer, because if you ask anyone from my era of anime fans if they've watched Gurren Lagann, that would be the dumbest question I could ask, because the answer is obviously going to be yes. There is no one in my age group who grew up with anime who hasn't watched and who hasn't enjoyed the shit out of Gurren Lagann, but I do also understand now and realize that the show is almost fucking 20 years old. Do you feel old yet? So I'm sure there is actually quite a large number of newer anime fans who got into the medium maybe during the pandemic who have no idea what the fuck a Gurren Lagann even is. And if you are one of those people, do yourself a favor, go and watch this, because all of those trigger shows that you enjoy, they wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this show. Number 18 is Monster. Oh my god. Okay, deadass, so far, this is the best anime top list that I have ever seen. This is legitimately the best top list I've ever seen. I'm not even sponsored by Screen Rant. This is peak so far. They've nailed it so far. Although I am going to say, I do think that Monster should be a little bit higher on the list, personally speaking. But I also do understand that it might be a genre that is a little bit harder to get into for today's viewing standards. It is a lot longer in terms of episode length. I think there's like 74 episodes of this or something. And it is a little bit more on the slower side of things, as it is a, you know, Urasawa Naoki crime, mystery, psychological horror. But my god, this story is so goddamn good. This is one of those few shows that really makes you truly appreciate the intricacies and the really unique atmosphere that a story like this can drive out of Japanese animation. I feel like this is one of the few shows that only works in anime. And in manga, obviously, because it started off as a manga. Like, I'm sure a live action of Monster could work, but I don't think it'll be as effective as how they portrayed it in the manga and anime, because there's something about it that is so uniquely manga and anime, and it does it to the best of its abilities. If you love your psychological drama and your crime horror and stuff like that, you're gonna absolutely love this. If you're a true crime horror girly, you gotta watch this show, man. It's chef's kiss. Number 17 is Fruits Basket. I mean, I hope they are referring to the remake of Fruits Basket. The first version of Fruits Basket was fine. It was fine. It was going up against a manga that was a little bit harder to, I guess, adapt back in the day, considering the fact that they changed a bunch of story beats from the original manga, and then this newest version of Fruits Basket kind of came in and fixed all of that and made everything a lot more prettier. So I'm not going to say the original Fruits Basket was necessarily bad, but the newer Fruits Basket, which I believe is the 2019 version, definitely is the one that you should be checking out. This Fruits Basket remake is awesome, and it really does fit more in line with how the original manga was. But if you don't want to read the original manga, there you go. There's this show as well. You know, look, okay, again, Screen Rant. You're including some shoujo in here as well? There are so many fucking publications that talk about anime that almost forget the existence of shoujo anime and how important and impactful it is as a genre, because so many people are just sucking the hard dick of a shonen manga anime and completely forgetting about, you know, the other genres and the other demographics. So, well done. Well done, Screen Rant, for including a solid shoujo pick. Number 16 is Mushishi. Okay, confirmed. This is the best list. Hands down. This is the best. Again, did I make this list? What the fuck? Did I subconsciously sneak into the Screen Rant office and write up this list? Because this is a list that I would make. Legit. Again, Mushishi. Beautiful show. Beautiful show. Yes, it is on the slower side. Yes, it is a little bit more on the subtler side, a little bit more on the mature side of how it expresses its dramatic elements and its human drama elements. But my god, I've always said Mushishi is the 3-hour ASMR to fall asleep to, or the lo-fi beats to study to equivalent of anime. It is just this gorgeous display of human drama that uses a little bit of, you know, fantasy elements and mystery elements to really portray some really interesting human stories. And it does so, again, in just the most beautiful way possible. I mean, this is legitimately, and the manga as well, is legitimately one of the most beautiful shows that I have had the pleasure of experiencing. So, yeah, please give it a go. Please check it out. If you want to... Number 15, Cyberpunk Edge... Boys, this can't be real. This can't be real. We're almost halfway through this list, and there hasn't been a single miss. How is this possible? I mean, look, you guys should know by now how much I fucking love Cyberpunk Edge Runners. My clothing brand did an entire collab with them. Like, it was literally the first anime collab I wanted to do with my clothing brand. That's how much I fucking love Cyberpunk Edge Runners. So, honestly, I don't really need to say anything more than that because it's goated. It's amazing. I don't care what you say. Trigger went above and beyond with this show, and I can't contain my excitement for the season 2 that's going to come out. This show is freaking awesome. Number 14 is Odd Taxi. I can't believe this. I can't believe this. We're 14 out of 25 and there hasn't been a miss. Odd Taxi is also amazing. Fuck. If you've never seen any of these shows that I am talking about, do yourself a favor, okay? Please do yourself a favor. Stop watching the shitty seasonal isekais and actually watch some good anime, because there's already 14 out of 25 shows on this list that you could be checking out right now that will actually make you fall in love with the medium. These are the shows that made me fall in love with the medium in the various timelines that I watched these shows in throughout my life. Like, this is crazy. This is honestly crazy. Yes, Odd Taxi is also an amazing show. I haven't seen the movie. I definitely want to, but the anime was great. It was surprisingly good, because you look at an art style like this and you're like, what is this show? Whatever. And then you actually give it a go and it's like, wow, this is great. I relate to this so much. Number 13 is Penguin Drum. I'm sorry, I blew out the microphone, I think, but holy fuck. Moa Penguin Drum referenced in 2026. That's crazy. Penguin Drum is really about the fallout of the sarin gas attacks that rocked Japan in 1995. With that bit of context, so much else about the series that previously seemed inexplicable snaps into place. The constant visual motifs invoke subway systems. Even the logo hints at this with the Circle 95. Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit it on the nail right there. And again, I remember when I first found out about this show, I watched it and I was like, it's alright. And then when I went to rewatch the show after hearing about this, Om Shinrikyo sarin gas attack information, I was like, whoa, okay, now we're talking about something completely different, and I weirdly think it's cool, really cool and artistic. This one is, I would say, a little bit more on the adult side in terms of its themes and how it expresses it, but if you're into shows like that, then yeah, I think this is one that you really need to check out. Penguin Drum is a sleeper. Penguin Drum is definitely an underrated classic that, you know what, I feel like I need to go and rewatch again, because again, I haven't seen it in a long time, but I do remember enjoying it back in the day. But it's really cool again that we get to see it in a list like this, because God knows other publications are not touching Penguin Drum with a 6-foot pole. Number 12 is yeah, okay, sure, I guess. Alright, look, before all the Dragon Ball fans start getting on my ass for that reaction, I fucking love Dragon Ball. I own all the manga. I grew up watching it when I was a kid. I love it. Alright? I understand how much of a classic that it is. But in terms of it being on a list like this, I think it's kind of unnecessary. Again, everybody already knows what Dragon Ball is. Even your fucking grandma. Go and ask your grandma what Dragon Ball is, and they'll probably say, oh, the one with Goku, right? So I understand why you would want to include a show like Dragon Ball in a list like this, because again, it is quite old now, and even though our generation knows Dragon Ball Z inside out, maybe the newer generation who didn't grow up with Dragon Ball Z has no idea what this kind of shit is. But I just still think that it's too much of a mainstream show for it to be necessary in a list like this. And also, if we're being technical here, I genuinely would not recommend the anime. I would definitely recommend the manga. The manga, I think, has aged like the finest of the finest wines, because Toriyama's art has just existed as just the most unique style and the most unaged style in all of manga history, in my opinion. But then when they turned it into a TV anime series, they padded the fuck out of it by making episodes way too dragged out, way too overly long. I mean, I still remember, you know, when Goku first turns into Super Saiyan 3, for example, and fights Boo. You know, a lot of, in my mind, right? I don't exactly know the numbers. Maybe someone can fact check this, but in my mind, that fight between Super Saiyan 3 Dragon Ball, Super Saiyan 3 Goku versus Boo, is like 3 episodes long. In the manga, it's like 4 pages. And that's just one of many examples of them padding the fuck out of the anime to cover as many episodes as possible for TV standards, right? So when you go back and watch it without having to wait every single week for a new episode, it just is so slow. It's so dragged out. You could spend half the time reading the 36, 37 volumes of the manga with it having little to no padding whatsoever and get just as good of an experience, in my opinion. So yes, I fucking love Dragon Ball so much. Dragon Ball's an amazing show, but I just don't think it was necessary on this list. Look, not all things can be perfect, alright? We're gonna have a couple of L's, but hey, that's alright. It took until number 12 for this list to hit an L. I'm okay with that so far. Number 11 is Pluto, and just like that, they're back, baby! Yes, 100% yes. Pluto is amazing! Look, some people might be sitting there in the comments being like, it's a little bit unfair that there are 2 Urasao Naoki shows in a list of 25 shows, but that's just how goated Urasawa is, big dog. I don't make up the rules. Pluto is amazing not only because of it being Urasawa Naoki, but also the fact that this is technically like a spiritual successor or set in the same universe as Astro Boy, which, for those of you who don't know, is the whole reason why anime exists in the first place. Naoki Urasawa and Takashi Nagasaki's original Pluto manga was a brilliant reinterpretation of Tezuka's work, and the anime adaptation only furthers what already made the manga so powerful. Pluto's greatest strength is its more introspective nature. 100% agree. As much as I can recognize the GOATs, like Astro Boy and like Tezuka, Urasawa Naoki and Nagasaki Takashi managed to take that universe somehow and just up the ante, make the world so much richer and more dystopian and dark, but to the point where you wanted to know what was going on. I've actually heard a lot of people who watched Pluto who then ended up reading or checking out the original Astro Boy just because they were that interested in the world that was presented in this show. So yeah, definitely the sleeper hit of the 2020s. Pluto is amazing. The manga is also amazing. And hell yeah, it's a screen rant for including this in the 11th spot. But we're approaching the top 10 now. So far, this list has been fucking crazy. Apart from maybe a couple of shows that didn't need to be on here, every single show so far has been a great show. So let's go into the top 10 and see what they have to offer. At number 10, we've got... Oh, man. You were doing so well. Alright, listen. Berserk is one of my favorite manga series of all time. But we're not talking about manga here, are we? We're talking about the 25 best anime to watch. And if there is a series that is the most controversial when it comes to the changes from the manga to the anime, it's Berserk. Okay, judging from the date, I assume they're referencing the original TV series, the late 90s version, and not the 2012 series, film series, or the 2015-2016 anime series. Good, because if I had to pick a Berserk anime, it would definitely be the late 90s version. But even still, I wouldn't put it on this list, especially not at a number 10. If we're talking about 25 best manga to read, then hell yeah, Berserk would be in my top 5, probably, definitely in the top 10. But the anime is just, it just didn't capture it. It just couldn't capture Miura's grittiness and rawness and the pure doom and gloom of the world of Berserk. I mean, the 90s version definitely got very close. It got the atmosphere correct, but just, you know, the limitations of animation back in the day just couldn't quite capture the spirit of Miura's drawings. And so we all thought, collectively, oh, going into the 2000s, going into the 2010s, we might get, with the advance in animation technology and maybe a fresher mind and fresher look on this classic story, we might be able to get something that's fucking insane. And then we ended up with the atrocity that was the 2016 CGI anime. Number 9 is Sunny Boy. Again, yes. 100% yes. Shingo Natsume might honestly be one of the most underrated anime creators out there. And this is, I would say, his magnum opus. Sunny Boy is fucking amazing. It's undeniable that Sunny Boy is not going to appeal to everyone. The series provides a scant few explanations for the many absurd things that happen to the protagonist Naga and his classmates, so viewers looking for some concrete explanation will probably leave disappointed. However, what the series lacks in logic, it more than makes up for in atmosphere and nuance. Abso-fucking-lutely. My god, these writers, they know they cooked with this article, dude. God damn. All of this creates a poignant parable for Gen Z's unique struggles. Few other series explore what it means to be on the line between childhood and adulthood, like Sunny Boy, and the result is surreal and wholly unique. In the same way that Penguin Drum is a quintessentially millennial anime, Sunny Boy captures the spirit of Gen Z. Yes, I agree, but that doesn't mean that millennials can't enjoy Sunny Boy either. I think, if anything, millennials, and especially millennial anime fans, will almost even appreciate Sunny Boy more than the Gen Zers, I dare say. It's kind of crazy that it got a 6.2 out of 10 on Screen Rant, because it's definitely higher than a 6.2, that's for fucking sure. Sunny Boy's amazing. Shingo Natsume is incredible. Madhouse was just at their A game with this one. You definitely need to check this one out. Good job for it being in the top 10. I would also probably put this in my top 10 as well. Number 8 is Puera Magi Madoka Magica. Now, again, this one, if you are a millennial anime fan, should be pretty obvious. This one, if you grew up watching anime in the mid-2000s and, mid-2010s like I did, then not knowing Madoka Magica is basically outing yourself as not an anime fan. But I guess now, with it being almost, 15 years since Madoka Magica first came out. Actually, yeah, it's 2026, so it's been 15 years since Madoka Magica first came out. They might not know what a Puella Magi Madoka Magica even is. They might look at this and being like, oh, it's a Sailor Moon ripoff, which you would 100% be incorrect on, because if you do think that, then you don't know the power that is Gen Urobuchi, the creator of Madoka Magica. Oh yeah, I also forget that this was Shimbo Akiyuki and Shaft Studios as well, who, if you don't know, same director, same studio that made the Monogatari series, a show that you all know I freaking love. Madoka Magica isn't great because of its multiple dark twists. Much like its protagonist, Madoka Magica is hopeful despite the abundant tragedy surrounding it. While many bad things happen on the road to Madoka Magica's ending, those dark elements make the series shine all the brighter. I agree. A lot of people first chalked up Madoka Magica as being the magical girl show that where a lot of bad horror things happen. And yeah, it definitely did kind of quote-unquote deconstruct the magical girl genre in that sense. It wasn't the first one to do it. It wasn't the first magical girl show to present horror elements or anything like that. It was just a really solid show that took you for a spin and thought it was going to drag you in one side, but with a couple of twists later, it tells a completely different story that is just as powerful, if not more of a powerful experience than before. It almost reverse clickbaited you in that sense into thinking you were just going to watch a standard magical girl show, and then, not anymore, actually. I'm really happy that Screen Rant is giving it some light, because I genuinely do wonder how the average anime fan of today will look at a show like this. I'm quite curious. Number 7. Revolutionary Girl Utena. What happened to online publications since I've been gone that has made them so fucking based? Like, I've legitimately never seen a list that put Utena over Madoka Magica. That's crazy. But yes, Revolutionary Girl Utena, in the name, it says it all. This show was revolutionary. This show completely changed the identity that is the queer representation in anime. Look, it even says here in the opening blurb, in an era where queer representation in anime and entertainment at large was often relegated to one-dimensional stereotypes or supporting characters, Utena had the strength of conviction to put its queer romance front and center with its two main characters. And what main characters they are. Utena and Anthe are both quite likable protagonists, making the journey together all the more beautiful. I 100% agree. Yes. To say Kunihiko Ikuhara's Revolutionary Girl Utena was ahead of its time would be an understatement. 100% agree. This was made in the late fucking 90s, dude. Like, no other show was doing this. Utena's insistence on being the valiant prince of her story instead of the princess was a brilliant subversion of classical fairy-type tropes. Few pieces of television have so much to say about the constraints of gender. Much like the previously mentioned Sunny Boy and Penguin Drum, this is a series meant to be dissected and analyzed, so don't go in expecting everything to make total sense on first viewing. Far from the negative though, this is one of the series' strongest points. Few other anime series are as rewarding on rewatch as Revolutionary Girl Utena. I'm really glad that Screen Rant, or these writers of Screen Rant here, are including this show because, again, especially now in a world where so many streaming services are trying to make shows that are catered towards certain groups of people, it's just really nice to see a show that actually did it because they thought that there was a potential to tell a really unique and interesting story, and they sure fucking did with this show. Number 6 is Eureka 7. Okay. Look, I love Eureka 7. Would I put it in the top 6 above Revolutionary Girl Utena? Maybe not. I mean, don't get me wrong, Eureka 7 is the coolest thing you'll ever see. If you want to watch a mecha riding a fucking surfboard in the air and shooting shit up, if that doesn't sound like the coolest thing ever, then I don't know what to tell you, bro. And granted, Eureka 7 did have a sequel, Eureka 7 AO, or A0, whatever it was. I don't remember the exact title because it wasn't that great. Oh, they even say it at the bottom here. Fans of Eureka 7 should avoid the sequel anime A0 at all costs. It's genuinely that bad. Well, I'm glad we agree. I'm glad we agree that it was genuinely that bad. Yes, the original Eureka 7 is amazing, even if you're not a fan of mecha. Also, one of the most iconic openings of the mid-2000s as well. Again, I don't know if I would put it in my top 10. Definitely, you know, in my top 20 or 30 for sure, but yeah, this is a great show, and if you haven't given it a go, then I highly recommend it. Number 5 is Kaiba! Kaiba! What the fuck? I'm, like, legitimately about to cry. This list is, like, near perfect right now. In my 12 and a half fucking years of being on the internet talking about anime, I would have never imagined in my wildest dreams that we would get a online publication like Screen Rant giving Kaiba a shout out. That's crazy. Kaiba is one of the strangest anime ever made, and that's also why it's one of the best. Based. Though the result might not visually appeal to everyone, it's wholly unique, giving this series an atmosphere that is at once crushingly lonely and arrestingly beautiful. If that wasn't enough, the series' soundtrack is ethereal and haunting in all the right places. There's a dreamlike quality to Kaiba that makes it endlessly fascinating. I agree. The first time I found Kaiba, I think it was this exact poster that I saw on some, like, online forum back in the day. Oh god, that made me sound unk as fuck. When I saw that, I thought it was like some old Disney film, like, you know, some like rubber hose animation style shit. But then when I found out that it was an Japanese anime, I immediately was like, I have to watch this show. And look, is it like the most perfect show out there? Definitely not. You know, there's some storytelling elements that I think are a little weak in some parts, but it is, as this blurb perfectly says, it is incredibly unique. And I do kind of agree, it does feel like very much like dreamscapey. It doesn't feel like a real anime, if you get what I'm trying to say here. More than just a pretty series, Kaiba is thought-provoking. This is a series that will have viewers questioning their own sense of identity as Kaiba searches for his own. Yes, the series is often weird, but never in a way that feels random or pointless. Every strange event or character is in service to the larger narrative and themes. Kaiba might be an unconventional pick for one of the greatest anime series, but beauty of this caliber deserves a higher rank. I gotta give a standing ovation for that last paragraph, bro. That was crazy, dude. Couldn't have said it better myself. Number 4, we've got Full Metal Alchemist. Again, Full Metal Alchemist is great. Don't get me wrong. And I'm trying so hard not to sound like a fucking contrarian here, but I wouldn't put it on a list like this. Because again, who doesn't know what Full Metal Alchemist is? I would say that Full Metal Alchemist, in terms of the online anime community, is just as well known, if not more well known, than some of the most mainstream shows out there, like a Naruto or a Bleach or a One Piece. Because whenever, even to this day, whenever you try to convince someone to go and watch anime for the first time, what's the show that keeps getting brought up? One Piece? Dragon Ball? No, it's Full Metal Alchemist, especially Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. And the simple reason being is that, even to this day, it's still sitting at the top of my anime list as the highest rated anime ever. If it's not in the number 1 spot, it's at least in the top 5. Like, this is the show that put so many people onto what we now know as anime in the West. So yes, I'm not going to deny that this is a fantastic show, don't get me wrong. I just don't really think it's necessary on a list like this, because Everybody knows what FMA is. Number 3 is Cowboy Bebop. Again, I love Bebop. Don't get me wrong, I prefer Samurai Champloo if we're talking Watanabe Shinichiro, but regardless. This is another show that, again, I think there are more people in the West than in Japan that know who Cowboy Bebop is. You'd actually be quite surprised how few anime fans in Japan know what Cowboy Bebop is. This is one of the few rare shows that's definitely larger in the West than it is in Japan. So, all the more reason why I don't really think it's necessary to put on a show like this, or a list like this. Now in saying that, I'm not mad that it's up on this list. Same with Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. I'm not mad that it's up on this list, because again, this isn't the 25 most underrated anime to watch. This is the 25 best anime to watch. And in terms of maybe for people who are just starting to get into anime, you know, maybe they've watched a couple of shows like FMA, Cowboy Bebop, I think are great shows to watch. If Cowboy Bebop was like your second ever anime that you watched, or your 2000th anime you've ever watched, I think we can all agree that it's just as good, regardless of what period in your anime watching life you gave this a show. I watched Cowboy Bebop way into when I was watching anime, because I was too busy catching up on like the seasonal shit in the mid-2000s, and didn't really have enough time to go back and start exploring shows from the 90s that I missed out on, like Cowboy Bebop. But I still freaking love it. It's a classic for a reason. Again, has one of the best soundtracks ever. It literally put Yoko Kanno on the map in the West. And if a publication wants to put it at the number 3 best anime to watch, I'm not disappointed in that. I'm not disagreeing with it. Number 2 is Paranoia Agent. Holy fucking shit. Wasn't expecting that. A Paranoia Agent shout-out in 2026? What the fuck? You cannot have a conversation about the greats, the goats, the bests in the world of anime without mentioning the motherfucking goat, Satoshi Kon. That dude was only around for the short period of time that he was around, and rest in peace to the absolute goat. In that short period of time, this man made banger after banger after banger. And unfortunately, he was only around long enough to make one TV anime series, and that's this show right here, Paranoia Agent. When I first watched this show, again, same with like SEL, same with Wolf's Rain, my mind was fucking blown, because I'd already been familiar with Satoshi Kon's works through movies like Perfect Blue or Millennium Actress that came out before this show. So when this show came out, I was ecstatic. I was like, holy fuck, the Satoshi Kon making a TV anime? It's gotta be insane. And guess what? It fucking is. Though some have criticized the series for lacking logic, everything that happens in the series' back half is well foreshadowed and thematically rich. Paranoia Agent's critique of escapism was relevant in 2004, but comes across as prophetic decades later. Yes, absolutely. You know, much in the same way as SEL and Wolf's Rain is prophetic in their own ways. As Paranoia Agent, Satoshi Kon, I'm guaranteed, I'm convinced, came from the future, because every single thing this man put to pen and paper was just so ahead of its time, and we did not deserve a genius like Satoshi Kon. So if you love your Perfect Blues, your Millennium Actresses, your Paprikas, and you haven't seen this show, do yourself a favor. Seriously. But Paranoia Agent at number 2. So what's number 1? Oh, it's Mob Psycho. Okay. Look, I'm not mad, but Mob Psycho is fucking fantastic. It is so goddamn good, and it's nice to see some positive news amidst all of the One Punch Man Season 3 shit that I have not talked about publicly, because who gives a fuck? But yes, Mob Psycho 100 is fucking incredible. It is such a good show, so well animated, so well written, some of the most diverse and just philosophically deep-rooted characters written in all of anime, I would argue. And to think that it all came from a web manga where the creator could barely draw a fucking stick figure is the most insane glow-up in anime ever. Now look, as much as I love Mob Psycho 100, is it the number 1 best anime to watch? I don't know, to be honest. Again, I don't have the heart or the courage to make a list like that of my own, but Mob Psycho would definitely be in my top 25. I don't know if I would put it in the number 1 spot, but its popularity since it came out has proven otherwise, and I think this show is definitely at this point now going to fall under one of those classic. But there you go. That was the Screen Rant's best anime to watch ranked, I'm just gonna say it outright. I think this is one of the best lists I've ever seen from an online publication talking about anime. Like, legitimately, other than a couple of misses, like, the Berserk, for instance, or, even Dragon Ball. I don't want to say it's a miss, but, it's misplacement, I would say. All of these shows that were talked about were all fucking fantastic. I've never seen a list this comprehensive in terms of what the fuck they're talking about. Like, you can tell these guys have watched so much anime, and they know the artistic value of some of these lesser talked about shows. All right, let's go into the comments. Let me see this. This list is trash, no offense. No One Piece, no Yu Yu Hakusho, no Inuyasha, no Samurai Champloo, Gundam, no Conan, case closed. You had the nerve to add Pluto. Pluto was so boring. None of the new anime you add should be listed. Oh my god, this is the most brain dead shit I've ever heard. As someone who's watched anime for 30 plus years, this list is an utter abomination. What about this list was an utter abomination? What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Did you only rewatch Dragon Ball for the past 30 years? Like, Jesus. Made an account just to call this list a bunch of BS? What about this was BS, dude? This was good. The fact that Yu Yu Hakusho isn't on the list invalidates the entire list. There would be no Hunter x Hunter without it. How does Yu Yu Hakusho not being on the list invalidate a Revolutionary Girl Utena being on there? Yu Yu Hakusho redefined fighting animes. Inuyasha is one of the best-selling series in all of Japan and is an anime staple. It doesn't mean that it's the most flawless story, though. Sailor Moon not being on the list is also shocking. Space Dandy, but not Samurai Champloo. The exclusion of Pokemon, which is the most... Wait, Space Dandy wasn't on the list. Oh, wait. I just realized. You know what it is? This comment is from 2024. I see. They changed the list. They changed the fucking list. Yeah, they changed the list very recently. Okay, now I need to see what it was before this. Hang on. Okay, I went back on the Wayback Machine. I couldn't find anything that showed maybe different versions of this list. So if you have any idea of where I can find that and you'd like me to cover in a video, let me know. But either way, what's important right now, it doesn't matter what was on the list previously. As of right now, as of me recording this video, going onto this list, it looks like this. And you know what? I don't care how fucked the previous list was. This current list is great. This current list is so good. It shows so many cool series that are genuinely good, genuinely not talked about enough, and deserves the all of the praise that it gets for it being an artistic endeavor in the world of anime. And again, if you want to watch some shows that maybe you've never heard of, you want to expand your horizon on anime, any and all of these shows are amazing to watch. Except maybe Berserk. Go and read the manga for that. So there you go. Well done to the two writers for fixing up the list, making it better. Hope you guys got some good recommendations out of it. And if there are any more publications of these sorts that you want me to go into and give my 2 cents on, roast, rant, praise, whatever it may be, let me know down in the comments below. But thanks for watching, guys. In the meantime, smack my face right here to subscribe to the channel. Let's keep making big channel number go bigger. Over here next to my head is a couple more videos you can check out if you enjoyed this one. And I am probably going to go rewatch Maru Penguin Drum because I forgot how good that show was. And I was nicely reminded of it in this video. So thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Peace.